Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to WrestleScope TV. That's right, it's John. I am back, and I know it's been a while. Thank you for tuning in to the video today. It's a brand new year. It's 2024, and we are into what is probably going to be a crazy year in the world of professional wrestling. Don't forget, folks, thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, hit the notification bell so you can be updated every time there is a brand new video placed on this channel. And I promise you in 2024, there are going to be a lot more. But I decided I wanted to do something a little bit different. And there's been a lot of predictions videos over the course of the last month. A lot of great content creators and not so great content creators have put out their predictions for 2024. It's some of them are really fun. Some of them are very entertaining, but I wanted to do something a little bit different. I wanted to take a look at the world of professional wrestling and what I want to see happen in 2024. Now, this isn't going to be specifically, oh, I want, Cody Rhodes to main event WrestleMania. I want CM Punk to beat Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. It's not going to be anything like that. This is going to be kind of a little bit more broad-based in a way, but specific topics, specific different things we're going to get into. And first of all, well, I heard you mentioned Cody Rhodes. I mentioned Cody Rhodes. I have to get to this one first. In 2024, I want to see the Universal Championship off of Roman Reigns. The time has finally come. We have gone past the era of part-time champions. The time where you can have a guy that shows up once every couple of months, wrestles 4 or 5 times a year on television, on pay-per-view, and have them be the champion. That does a disservice to the wrestling industry in general. And I don't care if it's WWE, AEW, TNA, NWA, New Japan Pro Wrestling, whatever it may be. We have gone past the day and age now of having a part-time wrestling champion. And we need to have people that are going to be on TV on a regular basis, are going to be on pay-per-views on a regular basis, and are defending their titles. You take a look at the major wrestling promotions, and they're stacked. Talent-wise, they are stacked. Every division is stacked. And you can't have it where a champion is there 5 times out of the year. This isn't the 1980s where you have one pay-per-view. Excuse me. You have one pay-per-view. You have a couple of, major television shows. That's it. You've got weekly television. You've got YouTube. You've got pay-per-views. You've got so many things going on. It's time to take the belt off of Roman Reigns and have there be a champion that could be on television. Maybe not every week, but every other week, can be defending at almost every pay-per-view. Now, Roman Reigns has done a great job as the champion. He's been the figurehead for WWE. He's been that guy, since coming back, excuse me, after the pandemic and after the health issues he had and changing himself to the tribal chief. It's been a great thing. It really has been. But the time is now to get that belt off of him. The time is now to focus on someone else. And quite honestly, I'd be okay with the Universal Championship changing hands 3 or 4 times within the calendar year. I would be perfectly okay with that. But in 2024, Roman Reigns needs to drop the championship. And I'm not saying at the end of the year. If it doesn't happen at WrestleMania, it's got to happen very soon after that. Next up, I want to see in 2024 more tag team championship matches in WWE and AEW. Now, WWE kind of painted themselves into a corner when they created the Undisputed Tag Team Championships back in 2022. When they merged the Raw and SmackDown Tag Team Championships. And they've continued with those unified belts since then. As of the recording of this, it is still the Judgment Day as the champions. But we need to see more action going on with that. And the problem right now with the Judgment Day having those belts is, and we're getting into that season where we're going to start seeing a little bit more of Damian Priest and that Money in the Bank contract. And then the tag team championships. It might be time for Judgment Day to part ways with those titles and do something different with them. But we need to see, just like the Universal Championship needs to be seen more, the tag team championships, need to be more of a focal point on television. And you could say the same thing in AEW these last few months. Ever since Big Bill and Ricky Starks won the titles, they become kind of an afterthought. They really have. And there are some great tag teams in AEW. There are some feuds that could be happening, and they're just not. They're just not happening right now. So there needs to be more of a focus put on tag team championship matches in both AEW and WWE this year. Now, speaking of championships, in 2024, I want to see more younger stars with championships. Now, when I look at this, okay, some of you are going to say, now, wait a second, hold on. MJF just held the AEW championship for the entire year. You've got Julia Hart as the TBS champion. Okay, that's all fine and dandy. I'm okay with Gunther having the Intercontinental Championship because he's had just an incredible run with that. I am perfectly fine with Rhea Ripley and Io Sky having the two WWE Women's Championships. Toni Storm, I'm not a huge fan of hers in AEW, but I'm okay with her having the championship. But the big thing that sticks out to me right now, and I know I'm going to get some grief in the comments, guys like Christian Cage do not need to be holding championship gold in 2024. Okay? It just doesn't need to be happening. Yes, his character and the way things have gone, people have said, oh, it's been one of the greatest runs ever. No, it hasn't been. It has not been. There are so many younger talent on that AEW roster that should be vying for that championship. And the last two title defenses, it's been Christian Cage and Edge. Now, I know there's a great storyline there, but do you really need to have two older guys like this vying for essentially their mid-card championship? I don't think so. It's time to start utilizing these titles for what they are. They are building blocks for the next world champion. And the same thing can be said, okay, once they decide to move on from Gunther as Intercontinental Champion, and this, quite honestly, what I believe is a failed experiment with Logan Paul as the United States champion. Yes, I understand they're thinking of, hey, he's a mainstream media star. He's a social media star, and he's going to bring new eyes to the product. Well, he's only going to bring new eyes to the product if he's actually defending the championship, if he's actually appearing with it. If he shows up once every 3 months, it's kind of the Roman Reigns effect. It's not going to do anybody any good, and it's not building up any new stars. So let's start building up some more younger stars and put championships on them. This is probably going to be the most divisive one of all of them. And this is emotionally coming out of Saturday night. But in 2024, I want to see better pay-per-views. Now, AEW World's End, the last 3 matches of that show were fantastic. But I'll tell you, dropping $50 on a pay-per-view, that the first 2/3 of the show was absolutely awful. It was a combination of mid-range Dynamite, Collision, and Rampage. It was a disservice to any fans that purchased that. And WWE has been guilty of this as well. Some of their pay-per-views have been fantastic. Others of them have not been. Now, I don't expect every single show to be a show of the year contender, to be the best thing since sliced bread. You just can't keep up with that. But way too many mediocre pay-per-views going on right now, or PLEs, whatever you want to call them. Impact Wrestling, now TNA, did a phenomenal job in 2023 putting together some incredible shows. Now, a lot of that had to do with bringing in, talents like Will Ospreay, bringing in Kenta and Kushida and international stars like that. But they have done an amazing job of putting together higher level shows and really having people invested in what's happening. And that's what needs to happen. I think the issue with WWE is they've got way too many PLEs. We don't need to have 12 to 13 of them a year. Back it down to 8. I think 8 would be perfectly fine. You throw in a couple of, if they're going to do like a Saturday night's main event or something like that, do that twice a year. Get a little bit more of a gap than 4 weeks in between some of these shows. AEW, they painted themselves into a really bad corner in August with All In and All Out within the same week. And they've been victim, too, of not putting together the best shows they possibly can. Part of the issue that they've had, too, is some of their pay-per-views have gone way too long with way too many matches. I think one of the things that they did do right with World's End is they didn't overinflate the card. I was getting really worried Friday night prior to the show as they seemingly kept adding on more matches that, oh my goodness, this is going to end up being a 14-match card. It's going to go 4.5 hours. Well, it didn't, thankfully. But in 2024, I want to see better pay-per-views from everybody. Everybody. Now, one thing that has been a huge complaint over the world of wrestling for the last couple of years has been women's matches. In 2024, I want to see better quality women's matches. Now, this is not an indictment on the talent, okay? Now, in a few cases, there are some women in any of the individual women's divisions that you look at their matches and they are just, you can tell they're moving much slower than they need to be. That things are getting botched where they shouldn't be. But I think we need to see not just more women's matches, but better quality matches. In all the top organizations, you've got the talent. In WWE, excuse me, I don't think I need to mention all the names, but I will. You've got Becky. When she's healthy, you've got Charlotte, you've got Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, Io Sky, everybody in Damage Control. You've got that whole group. You've got younger talent that's coming up as well. NXT has an amazing crop of younger women wrestlers that are coming up, and I can't wait to see what they're going to be doing. In AEW, you've got a fantastic women's division as well that has been underutilized. But you've got great talent there. Impact Wrestling, I still believe, may have, talent-wise, the best women's roster in the United States. And that, some people could argue with me on that one, but you just watch any of the matches and they're all fantastic. The NWA, who I haven't mentioned much here, but the NWA has a lot of great women's talent as well. But let's see better quality matches. They don't have to always be 15 to 20 minute masterpieces, but let the women do what they are strong at doing, whoever they may be individually. Don't have them do things out of their comfort zone that make them look bad. Don't put two women together that obviously cannot carry a high quality match. And sadly, there are some of them out there that are in the major promotions that realistically, unless they're in there with a stronger talent, they can't carry a match. And I'm not going to mention names because I'm not going to sit here and knock anybody individually. But I want to see better quality matches from the women's divisions in 2024. Also in 2024, I want to see more crossover between New Japan Pro Wrestling and AEW and or TNA. Now, both organizations have done amazing with this year, and the catalyst of this has been Will Ospreay. He performed in more American shows this year than ever before, I believe, and it was incredible. AEW Forbidden Door was incredible. Impact Wrestling / TNA did some amazing crossover shows this year as well. And I want to see more of that in 2024. Bring in, the Okadas. Bring in anybody from New Japan. Bring them all over. Have the crossover. Make it happen. Even some of the younger talent. Impact Wrestling did a great job with that with the LA Dojo. And actually, AEW did some of that with the LA Dojo this year as well. Let's see some more of that happen in 2024. Unfortunately, we're not going to see it in WWE, but at least if we could get it in AEW and TNA wrestling, it's going to be fantastic. And this is why you don't do a YouTube when you're sick. All right. Next up, Ring of Honor. Haven't talked about them. Ring of Honor needs a major TV deal. Now, I'm not talking a WWE, AEW style deal, but I'm talking something where you don't have to pay for their streaming service to be able to watch it. You don't have to pay for Honor Club to be able to watch Ring of Honor. I want to be able to watch Ring of Honor wrestling. I want to be able to see what's going on, but I can't afford to add in yet another streaming package, another wrestling package. I just can't do it, and I know I'm not the only one. I want to see Ring of Honor get some sort of a television deal, and there's got to be something that WBD can work out with them, especially if they continue their relationship with AEW. But before 2024 ends, Ring of Honor has got to get some sort of a television deal where they can be put in front of more eyes than they are right now. And this one, okay, I'm going to take a shot at somebody here, but in 2024, I want to see the NWA try to actually be serious. This is not, again, an indictment on the talent. There are some great talent in the NWA. The problem is you've got a man that is the owner of the organization that says he is a fan of the way things were done in the past, but this is not the NWA of old. He is trying, I don't understand what he's trying to do in certain areas, but you look at it, when they have great matches on the show, they are overshadowed by stupidity. Everything that they do on their web stream with Danny Deals and him trying to run through pitches for their merchandise in 15 seconds, pretending like he only has that amount of time, it looks bad. Okay. You've got obviously the controversial angle with James Mitchell at one of their last pay-per-views of the year that caused a lot of problems, and then they make fun of it just a few weeks later on their weekly show. You've got certain characters that have no right being in mainstream wrestling in 2024. If you want to be considered serious, be serious. I take a look at the first year or two that Billy Corgan owned the NWA, and you had Nick Aldis as the champion. Nick Aldis, who very serious champion, very, very much like an old school wrestling champion. Reminded me a lot of Nick Bockwinkel back in the day. And I have a great appreciation for what Nick Bockwinkel did with the AWA back in the 80s, in the 70s and 80s. That is long gone now. The long tenure of Tyrus as the NWA champion. And now you've got EC3, who personally I am not a huge fan of. I never enjoyed any of his characters, and now it's just gotten completely out of whack. And some of the other things that are going on in that organization, they need to be more of a serious organization. It's okay to have fun, but they need to be more of a serious organization if they want any chance of staying relatively close in that second tier with a Ring of Honor, with a TNA, with an MLW, with New Japan Strong, anything like that. Otherwise, they're going to be pushed way down the list. They are going to be an afterthought to wrestling fans in general, and they're going to be stuck with their little, core group of fans that are just enjoying what they're doing. And it's a disservice to the men and women that are working in that ring every single week for that company. Okay, those are just some of my 2024 I want to sees. I would love to see in your comments what you want to see in 2024. Let's try keeping it as positive as possible. Obviously, I went a little bit negative on a couple things here, but I don't want anybody taking personal shots at anybody in the comments here. But please leave your comments on what you want to see in wrestling this year. And don't forget, you could follow me on all my social media. You could follow me on YouTube, obviously, TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram as well. And don't forget to, and I apologize again, give the video a like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. And I promise the next time I'm on, I'm not going to be coughing all over the place. Oh my goodness. That is like rule 101 of any type of broadcasting is if you're going to be sick, if you're going to be coughing, don't go on. Because it's not a good thing to do. I am John. This has been WrestleScope. Thank you very much for tuning in. Greatly appreciated, everybody, as always. Thank you for tuning in. And don't forget to subscribe. We will talk at you folks later.